It was a great night for the Atlanta Braves at Truist Park as they outslugged the Washington Nationals big time. It was a blowout victory, 16-4, the final score. Atlanta over Washington, back to 500 on the young season. Braves have gotten there, and there are so many stories to talk about, perhaps none bigger than the major league debut of Bryce Elder and the return of the slugging Braves offense. We'll break it all down next on the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta.
You are Locked On Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
And welcome once again to the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. I'm Grant McAuley, and we've got so much to talk about on this night. So many things that went right for the Atlanta Braves and Bryce Elder's major league debut, a night he'll never forget, and a big night for the Atlanta Bats, a big part of that as they backed him up big time to win his major league debut. So many things to get into here, but before we get anything started, as you know, I got to let you know, you got to subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta on YouTube. Make sure when you hit that subscribe button that you click the bell for notifications every time we drop an episode. And with that business out of the way, let's talk about the great night that was at Truist Park this evening. Get you caught up on everything that went down. So this was game two of this three-game set, and the Braves, they just didn't get off on the right foot. In game one, the Nationals were outslugging them, which is not something you would have expected just looking on paper, but it kind of was what it was, and it was a combination of things, I feel like, for the Braves who weren't getting the starting pitching that they needed. Ian Anderson threw a whole bunch of pitches, didn't get very deep in a game a couple of days ago. Huascar Ynoa followed it up in the opener against Washington, and he was only able to go 3 innings, threw a ton of pitches, so you knew that the major league staff was a bit stressed. So the call went out, and it was Bryce Elder who answered that call that every minor league player wants. He's coming to the big leagues. He's making his first start and doing so against the Nationals at Truist Park. His family was able to get out there, so they're able to celebrate all together. That was a wonderful thing to see on the broadcast, and they had to be thrilled, as Braves fans were, as the entire Braves organization was, at just how well this kid pitched. Let's go through the line score, let you know what's the tail of the tape, if you will, after all the smoke has settled and the dust is cleared and all of that, or the smoke is cleared and the dust is settled. Either way, the Braves came out on the right side of this thing. Nationals dropped to 2-4 on the year, 4 runs, 9 hits, couple of errors, 5 men left on base for Washington. Braves improved to 3-3, back to 500, 16 runs on 19 hits. Those are not typos, no errors, 12 men left on base for the Braves. Bryce Elder, 1-0, winning his major league debut. Great job for him, pitching into the 6th inning before he really ran into his first real speed bump, if you will, or his first real test, as I think he was starting to perhaps get a little tired, maybe run out of gas there, but he got beyond the 5th. He grabs the win. He's 1-0 in his young career. Patrick Corbin, meanwhile, the lefty for Washington, he was roughed up, didn't get out of the 3rd inning. He is 0-2 on the season. And Jackson Stephens, the Braves made a couple of different roster moves, or a handful of roster moves before the game in order to bring up Bryce Elder. They had to make a spot on the roster for him. They also had to make a spot on the roster for Jackson Stephens, and they put him right to work as well. He tossed the final 3 innings, so even in a game in which 16 runs were scored and the Braves won by 12, Jackson Stephens, in his first major league action since 2018, was credited with a save. The game lasted 3 hours and 37 minutes. A crowd of 31,462 were on hand to see it, and there were a couple of home runs in this game from Marcell Ozuna. We'll talk more about that, and a home run from Ozzie Albies in this contest as well. A good all-around night for the Braves offense. Before we jump into that, let me remind you that the Braves Postcast is sponsored by Built Bar. These are low-calorie, high-protein, high-fiber, low-carb. Replace your candy bars with these. They are better for you at Built Bar. They're all about taste. They make it taste delicious first, then they figure out how to make it healthy, and you're going to be blown away by what you find. Go to Built.com, check out all the flavors, and use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. So check out what you can find there. As far as how this win was built for the Braves, I think it starts with the starting pitching they got. Bryce Elder, 22-year-old native of Texas, 5 2/3 innings for him, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts for him. He worked so well throwing strikes. He was working quickly. He was very efficient. And the only blemishes were the back-to-back home runs in the 6th inning I alluded to earlier. But if you're going to give him up, you give him up to Juan Soto, a tape measure shot. his 100th of his career. And then Josh Bell, who's a pretty good major league hitter as well. They went back to back against Elder. He also gave up a double. He was done in that inning. Darren O'Day came in, put the lid on the sixth, and Jackson Stevens took it the rest of the way. Braves, meanwhile, they really roughed up Patrick Corbin. 6 runs against him, chased him in the third inning. And a couple of big things that you wanted to see from this Braves offense. A, can they string together some hits? And then B, when they do, can they figure out a way to get hits with runners in scoring position? The answer to that is yes tonight. 9 for 19 with runners in scoring position, and they knocked in 7 runs with 2 outs in this game. Great to see that as well. I mentioned Marcell Ozuna had a big night. How big, you might ask? 3 hits, 2 home runs. He has really gotten off to a nice start this season, and that's something the Braves very much needed. Having lost the power of Jorge Soler, Jock Peterson also not with the club, and of course, Ronald Acuna Jr. has yet to debut this year. So the Braves are going to be leaning on Ozuna to be a big contributor in the middle of the order, and he has been answering the call thus far over the first 6 games of the season. None bigger than his 2 home run night against the Nationals on Tuesday. Ozzy Albies had 3 hits, including a home run, as Ozuna with his 3 hits, Travis d'Arnaud with 3 hits, Adam Duvall with 3 hits, Dansby Swanson with a multi-hit game as well, and every Atlanta hitter in the lineup collected at least 1 hit. That's something you have to feel pretty good about as well. So all around, you got the pitching from Bryce Elder, who wins his major league debut. Very exciting to see that. And then you get the offense breaking out in a big-time way as the Braves win Game 2, even up the series, and they've got a chance to win it behind Max Fried as he takes the mound on Wednesday afternoon. We're going to talk a little bit about that in just a moment. Before we do, though, let me tell you about betonline.net, your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. You can find all the latest sports developments, including podcasts and reviews of all the different leagues. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. That's betonline.net, where the game starts. So let's get you set for tomorrow as the Braves have matinee action at Truist Park. Game 3 is against Washington. Final game of the 7-game homestand as well for the Braves. Max Fried, the lefty, making his 2nd start of the season. He was roughed up on opening day, 5 earned runs for him. He gave up to Cincinnati. He'll be looking for his first win, as will Josiah Gray, the right-hander for the Nationals. Picked up in the Max Scherzer trade. He was roughed up against the Mets in his season debut as he lost back on April the 8th. It'll be a 12:20 first pitch at Truist Park. It is, again, Max Fried against Josiah Gray as the Braves and Nationals conclude their 3-game series. That'll conclude this edition of the Braves Postcast. Thanks, as always, for joining. I appreciate that. It's part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, so make sure, if you're over on the YouTube page, that you have hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get the notifications every time we drop a new episode. That'll do it for me tonight. I'm Grant McAuley, as always, and once again, your final score, it was the Braves 16 and the Washington Nationals 4. We will catch you very soon here on the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. So long, everyone.